So the next thing I want to do is get a Coke because I'm out of coffee. So it's like too close for missiles, switching to guns. It's too late for coffee, switching to Coke. Oh, and I found my push stick, by the way. You might see me use this. I think in the last episode I was using my sanding block as a push stick. So I couldn't find this, but I did find it. It just has a little lip there. You can saw safely. And it has a couple little guides and stuff on there. But the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to cut some table legs. And I think I'm going to try to cut them from this material here. And I don't think I'm going to worry about the length right now. I think this is plenty long. I think I'm just going to worry about, yeah, it's 33 inches. Although I could save some wood. Okay, so my idea is that I can cut lengths. This is about 2 inches, but this is only 6 inches, so I can only get like 3 table legs out of this. This ash is kind of funny. This is the last piece that I have of, let me show you this a little closer. This is the last piece I have of ash, and this is from the Fender guitar factory that I don't think it's there anymore, but it used to be in Irvine, and they used to throw away out at their dumpster. They used to have just pieces of this ash that they would use for the body of the electric guitars that weren't good. They would just reject it, and they would put it right out by the dumpster. So I was working over there at the time, and I used to run over there, and I had a whole car full of this, and I've used it for many, many projects throughout the years. The white skinny table, I'll show you right here. The legs are made out of ash, as along with a lot of other items. So this is the last piece I have. I don't know whether they still throw it out over there, but maybe I should make a little pilgrimage over and try to see if I can get some more. Okay, so since this is only six inches, and I want to make 3, this is exactly 6 inches. And I want to make 3, but I have to compensate for an 1/8 inch saw gap. So instead of making it 2, 2, 2, I made it 1 7/8 inches. So that's going to compensate for the saw gap, and I maybe. All right, well, that little saw did great. It just pushed its way right through all that stuff. It bogged a little bit, but man, it just kept pushing through it. So I have some table legs. I ran all 4 sides of it through. So they're not quite 2 inch or 1 7/8 inches, but I don't think to the naked eye somebody could tell. These are ready to go. Cut them to length and taper, and I'll have to identify the taper. The taper is going to go to the inside and the inside, and the one that I had in the that I already made in the house, it goes down from 2 inches to 1.5 inches, and that's a pretty nice taper because you don't really want the table legs real big and clunky. And I think I have a photo of, I was in a Japanese restaurant, and they had some tables that were kind of big and clunky with legs, and I'll show you what it looks like when you don't taper the legs. Right here. And I have the top over there, and I have the dog over there. Let's clean up. So this is my dimension of the finished tabletop, 19 by 14.5. I let the center portion of birch dry, and that's good to go now. It's 11 by 15.5. And to get my finished dimension, I have to cut my rails and stiles there to 1 3/4. So I set up my table saw and I ripped a bunch of that 3-inch maple down to 1 3/4. Then I cut the 45s on my chop saw. I've got it all set up here. Looks good, numbered, and I have locations for biscuits. So I'm going to cut some biscuits and then we'll get to assembly. So now that I have all of the biscuits cut, I'm going to assemble it dry just to make sure that everything fits nicely. So this seems to fit pretty good dry. It's a little saggy right now, but it'll clamp up nicely. And then I put a little piece of wood underneath there because you don't want to like clamp it together and have the towel like pinched in there. So anyway, I think we're ready to glue and clamp. And once again, I've used every clamp in my shop, just about, and I needed them all to glue this up. You know, I thought rather than just take the clamps off of this, I might explain why I'm using so many clamps. The corner clamps here, you see there's 4 in each corner. What this was is when these pieces came together, they were a little bit off. You know, one was a little bit higher than the other. And so I use this clamp to kind of pull them together on all 4 sides. I put some scrap pieces here to kind of pull this together to get this to meet a little bit nicer in the corner. And I think I did a pretty good job of getting those to meet up. The big bar clamps, the black ones, just kind of pull the whole thing together. And then I have the 4, 2 on this side and 2 on that side that are just kind of pulling it together. And when I did that, I put like half pressure on it, and then I was able to like push this down and pull this up and kind of tweak the piece a little bit to use whatever flexibility I had in the pieces to make it kind of nice and flat. So this is good. All right, so let's see how we did. Let's get rid of some of this stuff under here. And I think that's pretty good. Maybe we have some steps a little bit here and there, but I think the belt sander is going to be able to take that down. So just to kind of see how accurate we got, the drawing says 19, pretty good, by 14.5. Not too bad. You can see a little bit undersized there, but not too bad at all. So that's nice and square, and it's going to make a really nice table. All right, so now we're kind of going to try to move on to the next steps, but I'm not 100% sure exactly what those steps are going to be. From my drawing here, I see that the legs need to be 25.25 long to get that total 26-inch, because it's 3/4. So 26-inch height, that makes sense. So 25.25, and these are 33. So I've got quite a bit of, like something about there. Got quite a bit of extra that I need to chop off of these to get it to the right height. Probably do like a sanity check and make sure that, ooh, there's a wasp. That wasp's been hanging around. Let me deal with that first. Square. I think I have 3 that are the right size. One of them I need to rip down to be the right size, 1 7/8. So that looks pretty cool. I think that'll work the way it is. And then what we're gonna do, yeah, 1 7/8. Yep, pretty much right on. And then what we're gonna do is when the leg comes to the bottom, we're going to do a little bit of a taper. We're probably going to cut a 1/2 inch off the inside, both inside sides. So we're going to create a tapering jig to do that on the table saw. And then so I think maybe right in the corner here might be the perfect spot for these. maybe I can, I don't know, set them up and see how it looks with the 4 legs in place. Let's do that now. Okay, so I only have 3 of the legs, and they are quite a bit too long, but I'm trying to see if I did, and if I did a skirt that went right here on all 4, maybe put the skirt on with biscuits to the top, and then I can affix the legs to the skirt. I think that's probably would be pretty good. And then there's going to be a shelf down there. So let's get going on some of that. I have my 4 legs. I cut them to size. It was going to be 25 1/4, but it worked out best to cut this one at 25, so I just cut them all at 25. The table will be 1/4 inch shorter. It'll be 25 3/4 instead of 26, so I think that's going to be fine. Because I found this piece in the shed that was also ash, which is what these are. It's painted white, which is what these are going to be, and it has a round over corner, which is what I'm going to do on those. So I thought, heck, this is pretty good. It's a little bit bigger. It's about 10 thousandths bigger on each side, so I could take a little bit off if I wanted to, but maybe I might not need to. So I think we'll just set those aside for now, and let's cut the skirts. So as far as the skirts, I drew the center portion 11 by 15.5, which, because the feet are going to go right on the inside of the center portion, and they're going to go there, 1.88, and then that means I need to cut 2 skirts at 7 1/4 and 2 skirts at 11 1/4. Let's do that now. I looked at a few different thicknesses for the skirts. This is, I think, 1 inch and 7/8 or something, and I thought that maybe is a little bit too short. So I think I'm going to go with just a standard 3-inch wide, which is 2.5 inches, which I found this piece, and I think I'm going to rip that to 2.5 inches now and then cut them to length. Boy, this soft wood sure cuts a lot easier than some of the hardwood I've been cutting. So I'm just going to start with cleaning up the edge. I got them clamped together here so they don't move around. Not sure if I'm going to be able to keep them that way. And then 7.24. First one I need, we'll make 2 of those. 7.24. All right, let's go see if this all looks like it fits. All right, this is my story and I'm sticking to it. Let's grab a leg. And it's a little hard to see here with all the putty in the way. But it's kind of like this. And then like this. And then like this. If we did our math right. Or maths, as they say in the UK. Oh no, we don't want it like that. We want it kind of in the middle of the, we want it sort of in the middle of the leg. That would look funny if we put it toward the outside. And then So does that mean I did it wrong? Since it's in the middle of the leg? I think, no. It goes like this. And then kind of like that. Hey, it almost looks like a table, a mesa verde. For any of you following along with the road trip, that's been a fun adventure. All right, that looks pretty good. I think that might work. I'll have to make sure that I space this in. I can't put it along this line because that's where the legs are going to go. Let's see. And it looks like a nice size. Let me go get the TV tray and make sure that we're still all the right size. Okay, so I have a TV tray. Do people still use these? We do. I don't know if y'all use any of them, but we still do. Is it sad that we have like eat in front of the TV? Well, let's go back and look at this. The height looks pretty good. Yeah, we're about a ½ inch short, but I think that's going to be okay. Size of the top looks about right. That looks really nifty. I like it. Cool. The legs will look a lot better once we taper them. And what I thought I would do is divide this in 3. So it's 25 inches, so let's just say 24 divided by 3 is 8. So at 8 inches, I'm going to start tapering. I'm going to taper a ½ inch, and it's going to be on both of the inside edges. So if this is the outside of the table out here, this is the inside, I'm going to taper this one and this one. Well, not that one, but this one and this one. So if I was to put a mark at 8 inches, so we go right about here. That's going to be the start of my taper. Then I'm going to go a ½ inch, and then I'm going to start the taper here and end the taper right there. Okay, so that's going to go in on this side, and then we need to do the same thing on this side. So we're going to cut this off. So this is going to be all of this. And then once we get that, we're going to do the same thing on this edge, but we're going to cut this off, so that's not going to be cool. But we'll draw it anyway. I know this is going to get cut off, but just so we can kind of visualize what we're going to do. ½ inch, and then we're going to do a line here. Okay, so this is going to be my outside of the table. This is the inside the long way, and then the inside the short way. All right, so those are going to be a little tapered. Oh, and my skirt is up here, and then the shelf we're going to make is going to be right at 8 inches. So it'll be right as the taper starts. We're going to make a shelf for that. Okay, so now the challenge is, how do you cut that? I mean, I could try to cut it with a skill saw or a jigsaw, some sort of a hand saw. I suppose in the chop saw you could do part of it, but the great way to do it is in a table saw. But we really need a tapering jig. Let's see what we can come up with. Okay, so here's what I came up with. I guess it looks kind of complicated, huh? So I took the incredibly expensive, this cheap plastic T-square thing that the table saw came with, and I set it at 4 degrees. I figured out that this angle is 4 degrees, and then I drilled a hole in the aluminum and then screwed a screw in this to make a right angle, and then I screwed this onto this piece of wood to make a long guide, and then I kind of sighted down and found out that the line right there, I should put my piece, this is my leg, and then I will clamp it, and then I'll put it in the saw. So if I take this whole apparatus, which is all kind of like tightened in one piece, and I slip it in this groove, then it kind of holds it, and then I can cut the taper, which will cut right along here, which if I looks somewhat in line, and that should work. So I was able to put this straight edge on here. It lines up with the line, and it more or less lines up with the blade. And I think that we're going to be fine as long as we cut them all the same, right? Carpe diem. Seize the carp. Now, in theory, I really shouldn't even need to make a line, right? So I have it tapered this side. If I do this side, if I just do 2 adjacent angles, then I can just, whatever way, I can just put that to the center. I guess it helps me to make sure that I'm getting 2 adjacent angles by putting a mark there. By kind of marking it. Oop, don't want to do that. Oh, okay. So then here, and then here. And then take the whole thing, slide it into here. Hey, these are kind of cool. Door stops. Look at how that one slants this way and this way. That's pretty cool. So my leg is going to go like that.